Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Moscow Board of Adjustments meeting for August 10th, 2020. With that introduction, let's jump into the first thing, which is the minutes from March 31st. Is that correct? Yep. I had a couple corrections under item 2. On the fourth line where it says the proposed site is located with the medium, I believe that word is supposed to be within. And then on the second page, on the 6th line, where it says personal suites would their own private, I believe it's missing the word have. Everything else looked accurate to me.
I didn't follow that one. All spaces would be ADA compliant and personal suites
Would have their own private full bath, and the facility itself would include, and yada, yada, yada. I think it's just missing the word have.
I move we approve the minutes as amended.
I think I found a couple more. Page 1, under number 2, the third paragraph, third line, should that be citizens, plural?
Makes sense.
Yep.
And then the page 2, first line, needs, plural, of elderly residents.
Agree with that, too.
That's all I got.
Anybody else have any Scribners or content edits? Someone be willing to make a motion again?
I'll make the motion again to approve the minutes as amended.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
I should abstain, I wasn't there for that meeting.
All right, well, it passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 abstention. And with that, we are on to our second item of the night, which is why we're here.
Good evening, everyone. Are you able to hear okay?
Can you just minimize that video?
Sure. All right. So tonight, we have a proposal for a conditional use permit to allow residential apartments on the ground floor located at 645 Pullman Road. The applicant is proposing the use of an existing 85-unit, 3-story hotel at 645 Pullman Road within the Motor Business Zoning District as both long-term residential and short-term hotel rental units. 27 of these units are on the ground floor and not behind a commercial use. This is the aerial image. It is just east of Line Street, north of 3rd on Pullman Road. A little bit of background. The Idaho Inn was built in 1978 as a travel lodge. Units were equipped with full bathrooms and full kitchenettes, or not full kitchenettes, but kitchenettes. Historically, has operated as both a hotel and extended stays. It was used in the 1990s for graduate student housing for the University of Idaho, and it was purchased in 2010 by the applicant It has been operating as a hotel offering extended stays on the second and third floor. In 2014, a similar conditional use permit application was submitted to the city. The Board of Adjustment approved that application. The use was never initiated, and therefore the approval became null and void. This is an image of the outside of the subject property you're all familiar with. This is an interior photo showing the studio apartment style, the small kitchenette, full bathroom, as discussed. The zoning for this property is in the motor business district. And in the residential uses are permitted within the motor business zone, but a conditional use permit is required for residential uses located on the ground floor that are not behind a commercial use. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for the proposed 27 ground floor units. Here's a zoning showing the motor business district that it's in. A surrounding land use and the subject site property. The lot is 1.68 acre parcel. It has approximately just a little over 1,000 feet of street frontage on Pullman Road. Businesses to the north, northeast, and east are all characteristic of the motor business district. Adjacent to the parcel to the south is also owned by the applicant and is 1.15 acres. Adjacent to the applicant's vacant parcel is a large storage building. In close proximity is the University of Idaho to the south and the southwest. As you can see here, these are the motor business district, or motor business businesses that are in the area. This right here, in between the two, is the vacant parcel owned by the applicant. This is the storage building, and obviously University of Idaho is to the south and southwest. The current use requires 85 parking spaces. Changing the use would increase the requirement to 107 parking spaces if all units were used as rental studio apartments. The current site, the site currently has 109 parking spaces with two access points on Pullman Road and one on 3rd Street. This existing parking lot meets the required parking space requirements. However, it should be noted that the striping and signage is in poor condition and should be updated. Comprehensive plan in the community character and land use section designates the subject property future land use as auto urban commercial. In the auto urban commercial designated areas, they're to provide commercial developments that are motor vehicle oriented, or those which require a large amount of land. They should be located adjacent to existing commercial developments or along major arterials where vehicle traffic can be accommodated. Chapter 3, the community mobility, identifies Pullman Road as the principal arterial and 3rd Street as a collector. And a goal of Chapter 6 is to enhance and strengthen the regional economy, utilizing the strengths and assets of the region. So it is for those reasons that staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit on the ground floor located at 645 Pullman Road with no conditions. And if deemed appropriate, direct staff to present the relevant criteria and standards. I'd like to take any questions if you have any at this time. Yes.
Amy, I understand what the words mean, but I don't quite understand the purpose or the reason why we state residential uses located on the ground floor which are not located behind commercial uses are permitted. What's the point there?
So typically in the motor business district, there needs to be a retail or commercial component on that first floor. And residential units are permitted behind that or above it. So the purpose is that it maintains retail sales, it maintains that component of the motor business district. So this conditional use permit is asking for that exception to be made, that it doesn't have that retail sales on the bottom, and that the commercial, or that the residential is right on that first floor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I was reading through here, and there was a request, I believe, as part of this conditional use that that the applicant be able to switch between basically what is R1 and R2 uses. Is that an issue?
It really is, R1 and R2 really isn't the correct terminology. It's residential units on the ground floor, rather than that commercial. R1 and R2 are both residential.
Okay.
So it doesn't really, I think that was the wrong terminology in the application used.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess just for clarification,
Of
my
course.
understanding is parking is not an issue.
Right, there is enough parking. If every unit in that place were rented out as a one-bedroom apartment, it would be sufficient.
And they've got it's actually more than sufficient for that.
Correct.
So, okay, it's nice to have one where
Yeah.
parking isn't an issue, so.
Any other questions?
Seeing none, you're off the hook for now.
Okay, for now.
This time, we're opening up the public hearing. Would the applicant care to step forward and state your name and address into the record and tell us about your request? Actually, you have to speak into the mic so that we can get it all recorded.
I'm Ram Sisodia. I'm one of the owners of the property. It's family-owned property. And we purchased this because of the location.
Can I get you to state your address also for the record?
My
Your home address.
home is 3711
Thank you.
Moscow Mountain Road. All right. We purchased this property with a mind that it is very close to the university and it is best used for multiple purposes for the university. One, as a hotel, initially we thought hotel would be right thing, but with the conditions the way they are, and we in Moscow and Pullman, I think we have more rooms than there should be for hotel. And I think this property has been there, it has gone through a number of cycles back and forth economically. My belief is that when it was opened as a motel initially, in early 90s, as a motel, it went bankrupt. After that, it was owned by bank, and from bank, university purchased it. That was my understanding. And then slowly, university used it properly as a student housing for graduate students, but slowly that declined, and then they needed to purchase this land between Pullman Road and University that had extended from where the motel is all the way to Perimeter Road. And we were approached if we would be interested in buying it, and we bought it. Economically, we are really struggling. Our revenue this year, for example, has declined to almost 1/3 year to date. So to survive, we have to have this option that having these two different options, we may be able to make it work for us.
Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, and one thing I would like to point again is that, and as Ann had mentioned, it has been used as both hotel as well as residential apartments for university.
Any questions?
Just out of curiosity, I remember hearing this back in 2014. Were you the owner in 2014?
No, it was
man,
somebody made it. Yeah, 2014. At that time, we were the owners.
Okay.
Somebody made an offer to purchase, and he wanted to convert it to apartments completely.
Okay, I remember that. So I was just curious, but.
Yes, yeah.
Seeing no other questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anybody else care to come up and speak in favor of this application? There's only three of you. You're welcome to come up and each speak if you'd like.
I'm his son, so.
Fair enough. That said, is there anybody that would like to come up and speak against or neutral to the CUP? Well, seeing none, and since this is not a packed house, I will close the public hearing and open it up to the board to discuss.
I remember this in 2014, Joe. I remember approving it in 2014. I visited friends when I was in law school here in the late 90s who were living as graduate students there. I don't think if we approve this, I don't think this is going to change anything that hasn't happened before. I'm in full support of this and I would move to approve it.
I agree, and as part of that conversation several years back, a question came up about fire rating between the floors and the sidewalls, and I actually pulled from code on my way to work here. Those residential uses, whether it's R1 or R2, don't require any kind of special fire separation of any kind, so I mean, the structure itself, as I understand it, would meet code, so it's not like they would even have to do structural adaptations. As Mark pointed out, it's already served these purposes. It's been graduate housing, it's been.
Graduate student housing, that's right.
Which is most likely the kind of patrons he's going to have, so.
I'll listen to more comments, but I'm prepared to make a motion to approve this conditional use permit as proposed with no conditions.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. That said, I read through the relevant criteria and facts of finding that Ann prepared for us, and,
Amy
Amy did.
prepared.
oh, excuse me, Amy, Ann sent it. It was a two-part thing. Since there were no additional motions, this is basically what we expected would happen. Is there any comments on this, or do you want to direct it back to staff? Thoughts?
Again, I'm comfortable with what staff has prepared. I reviewed it today before I came to the meeting, and I think it hits the relevant criteria and standards. I'm just looking one more time through the relevant facts. I think they're good. I want to make sure that we had, the one thing I did want to make sure is we had something in there about, we do have the parking. So number 9 was the parking.
Yeah, number 9
so
addressed the parking.
Yes.
This is, I can't remember one in the distant or recent past where we've dealt with one where we've had more parking than is necessary without having to be creative about getting around parking, so.
Well, maybe the next people who are having a problem with parking can ask to borrow
Can
some
share
of
his
theirs.
last two spots?
That's right. No, but I'm comfortable, and in fact, I'm happy to move that we just adopt the relevant facts and conclusions, as well as the proposed relevant criteria and standards that were forwarded to us in anticipation of this evening's meeting. I think they hit the points that we need to hit, and make that motion.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I'll second. Thank you.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There we have it. It is approved, 5-0.
So don't say anything about the city of Moscow not handling admin issues expeditiously.
Any other board communication? I know we've got another meeting coming up towards the end of the month, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
What,
26th.
the 26th? Any other items?
Check, make sure it's on.
All right.
You gonna be at that meeting, Ann?
I will.
Yep, she'll be training her successor.
What? No.
I have a motion to close.
I second.
Fair enough. I will call that I motion. All in
All
favor?
right, aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.